जय।
आनंद गौड़ी वैष्णव वृंद की
जय
जय।
आचार्य दास ठाकुर की
जय।
जय।
प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की
जय
जय।
गो प्रेमानंदे
हरि
हरि
बोल।
हरि बोल।
all gauris assembled devotees, all gauris assembled devotees, all gauris assembled devotees of his group. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
भगवते
Om
वासुदेवाय।
Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम
ओम
नमो
नमो
भगवते
ओम नमो
वासुदेवाय।
भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ओम नमो भगवते
भगवते
वासुदेवाय।
वासुदेवाय।
Hare Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण।
Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Creation, Chapter 9, The Passing Away of Bhishma Deva. Today's verses 9 to 12. We read verse 9 now. Tan
तान
Sametan
समेता
समेतान्
Mahabhagan
महाभागा
महाभागान्
Upalabhya
उपलभ्य
उपलभ्य
Vasutama
वसुतमा
वसुतमा
Pujayamasa
पूजयामास
Dharmajna
धर्मज्ञो
धर्मज्ञ
Desha
देश
देश
Kala
काल
काल
Vibhagavet
विभागवे
विभागवे
Tan Sametan Mahabhagan
तान
तन्
समेतान
समेतान्
महाभागा
महाभागान्
Upalabhya Vasutama
उपलभ्य वसुतमा
वसुतमा
Pujayamasa Dharmajno
पूजयामास
माता
धर्मज्ञो
धर्मज्ञो
Deshagala Vibhagave
देश काल विभागवे
Tan Samedan Mahabhagan
तान
तान्
समेतान
समेतान्
महाभागान्
महाभागान्
Upalabhya Vasutama
उपलभ्य
उपलभ्य
वसुतमा
वसुतमा
Pujayamasa Dharmajno
पूजयामास
पूजयामास
धर्मज्ञो
धर्मज्ञो
Deshagala Vibhagave
देशकाल विभागवे
देशकाल
Tan
विभागवे
Samedan Mahabhagan
तान
धन
समेतान
समेतान्
महाभागान्
महाभागान्
Upalabhya Vasutama
उपलभ्य
उपलभ्य
वसुतमा
वसुतमा
Pujayamasa Dharmajno
पूजयामास
पूजयामास
धर्मज्ञो
धर्मज्ञो
Deshagala Vibhagave.
देशकाल
देशकाल
विभागवे
विभागवे।
Hare Krishna. Yes, Sharajamaji.
हरे हरे कृष्णा प्रभु जी। तान् समेतान् महाभागान् उपलभ्य वसुतमा पूजयामास धर्मज्ञो देशकाल विभागवे। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Yes, Manohari Maji.
हरे कृष्णा। तान् समेतान् महाभागान् उपलभ्य वसुत्तमः पूजयामास धर्मज्ञो देशकाल विभागवेत्। हरे कृष्णा।
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shrikala Maji.
हरे कृष्णा।
Hare
हरे
Krishna.
कृष्णा। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। तान् समेतान् महाभागान् उपलभ्य वसुत्तमं पूजयामास धर्मज्ञो देशकाल विभागवेत्। हरे कृष्णा।
Yes, Hare Krishna. Snigdha Maji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय। तान् समेतान् महाभागान् उपलभ्य वसुत्तमः पूजयामास धर्मज्ञो देशकाल विभागवेत्। May I read the synonyms,
Yes,
Prabhuji?
yes.
Synonyms: Tan, all of them; Samitan, assembled together; Mahabhagan, all greatly powerful; Upalabhya, having received; Basuttamah, the best among the Basus; Bhishma Deva; Pujayam Asa, welcomed; Dharmagya, one who knows religious principles; Desa, place; Kala, time; Vibhagavid, one who knows the adjustment of place and time. Translation: Bhishmadeva, who was the best amongst the 8 Vasus, received and welcomed all the great and powerful rishis who were assembled there, for he knew perfectly all the religious principles according to time and place. Purport: by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Expert religionists know perfectly well how to adjust religious principles in terms of time and place. All the great acharyas or religious preachers or reformers of the world executed their mission by adjustment of religious principles in terms of time and place. There are different climates and situations in different parts of the world, and if one has to discharge his duties to preach the message of the Lord, he must be expert in adjusting the things in terms of the time and place. Bhismadeva was one of the 12 great authorities in preaching this cult of devotional service, and therefore he could receive and welcome all the powerful sages assembled there at his deathbed from all parts of the universe. He was certainly unable at that time to welcome and receive them physically because he was neither at his home nor in a normal healthy condition, but he was quite fit by the activities of his sound mind, and therefore he could utter sweet words with hearty expressions, and all of them were well received. One can perform one's duty by physical work, by mind, and by words, and he knew well how to utilize them in proper place, and therefore there was no difficulty for him to receive them, although physically unfit. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Verse 10. Krishnam
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 cha
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 tat
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 prabhavajna
aprabhavagya
asinam
asinam
jagadishwaram
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 hridistham
hridistam
pujayam asa
pujayam
pujayam asa
maya
maya
mayaya
mayaya
pata
maya vata
vigraham
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 krishnam cha tat prabhavajna
krishnam
krishnam
cha
cha tat
prabhavagya
prabhavajna
asinam jagadishwaram
asinam
asinam
jagadishwaram
jagadishwaram
hridistham pujayamasa
hridistam
hridistam pujayamasa
pujayamasa
mayopata vigraham
maya
mayopata vigraham
vigraham
krishnam cha tat prabhavajna
krishnam cha tat
prabhavagya
prabhavajna
asinam jagadishwaram
asinam
asinam
jagadishwaram
jagadishwaram
hridistham pujayamasa
hridistam
hridistam
pujayamasa
pujayamasa
mayopata vigraham
maya
mayopata
vigraham
vigraham
krishnam cha tat prabhavajna
krishnam
krishnam
cha
cha
tat
tat
prabhavagya
prabhavajna
asinam jagadishwaram
asinam
asinam
jagadishwaram
hridistham pujayamasa
hridistam
hridistam
pujayamasa
pujayamasa
mayopata vigraham
maya
mayopata vigraham
vigraham.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Shailaja Maji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishnam cha tat prabhavajna asenam jagadishwaram hridistam bhujayamasa mayayopata vigraham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Manohari Maji.
Hare Krishna. Krishnam cha tat prabhavajna asinam jagadishwaram hridistam pujayamasha mayayopada vigraham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Snigdha Maji.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Krishnam cha tat prabhavagya asinam jagadishwaram hridistam pujayamasa mayaya upata vigraham. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Melinda Maji.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna.
Krishna tat prabhavagnya आसीनं जगदीश्वरं हृदि स्तं पूजयाम आसा माययोपात विग्रहम्.
Hare Krishna.
प्यारी
Shri Kalamaji.
कृष्ण
Shri
हरे
Kalamaji.
कृष्ण हरे
Hare
कृष्ण
Krishna.
हरे कृष्ण ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय कृष्णं च तत्प्रभावज्ञ आसीनं जगदीश्वरं हृदि स्तं पूजयामासा माययोपात्त विग्रहम्. हरे कृष्ण
Yes. You can
कृष्णं
read.
yes Krishnam unto Lord Sri Krishna cha also tat of him prabhavatnya the knower of the glories, that is Bhishma, Asinam sitting, Jagat Ishwaram the Lord of the universe, Hridistam situated in the heart, Pujayan Asa worshipped, Mayaya by internal potency, Upatta manifested, Vigraham a form. Translation: Lord Sri Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, yet he manifests his transcendental form by his internal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhishma Deva, and since Bhishma Deva knew of his glories, he worshipped him duly. Purport by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Maharaj Ki Jai. The Lord's omnipotency is displayed by his simultaneous presence in every place. He is present always in his eternal abode Goloka Vrindavana, and still he is present in everyone's heart and even within every invisible form. When he manifests his eternal transcendental form in the material world, he does so by his internal potency. The external potency or the marginal material energy has nothing to do with his eternal form. All these truths were known to Sri Bhishma Deva, who worshipped him accordingly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Text 11. Pandu
Pandu
Putran
Putran
Vasinan
Vasinan
Prashaya
Prasaya
Prashraya
Prashraya
Prema
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 Sangatan
Sangatan
Abhyachashta
Abhyachashta
Anuraga
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 Ashray
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 Andhibhudena
Andi
Budena
Chusha
Chakshusha
Chashusha
Panduputran Upasinan
Panduputran Upasinan
Prashraya Prema Sangadan
Prashraya
Prashraya Prema Sangadan
Vyachashtanuragashray
Abhyachashtanuragashray
Vyachashtanuragashray
Abhyachashtanuragashray
Andhibhudena Chakshusha
Andibhudena Chashusha
Panduputran Upasinan
Panduputran Upasinan
Praya Prema Sangadan
Prashraya Prema Sangadan
Vyasachashtanuragashray
Abhyachashtanuragashray
Andhibhudena Chakshusha
Andibhudena
Andibhudena
Chakshusha
Chashusha
Panduputran Upasinan
Panduputran Upasinan
Prashaya Prema Sangadan
Prashaya
Prashraya
Prema
Prema Sangadan
Vyachashtanuragashray
Abhyachashtanuragashray
Abhyachashtanuragashray
Andhibhudena Chakshusha.
Andibhudena
Andibhudena Chashusha.
Chakshusha.
Hare Krishna. Yes,
Hare
Sairjamaji.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Panduputranupasinan Prashraya Prema Sangadan Abhyachashtanuragashray Andibhudena Chashusha. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Panduputranubasinaan prasraya prema sangadan अभ्याचष्टानुरागश्रे अन्धिभूतेन चक्षुषा. हरे कृष्ण.
Yes, Shri Kalamaji.
हरे कृष्ण नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय पाण्डुपुत्रानुपास्तीनान् प्रश्रय प्रेम सङ्गतान् अभ्यचष्टानुरागश्रेर् अन्धिबोधेन चक्षुषा. हरे कृष्ण.
Yes, Sigdamaji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय पाण्डुपुत्रानुपासीनान् प्रश्रय प्रेम संगतान् अभ्यचेष्टानुरागाश्रैः अन्धीभूतेन चक्षुषा. हरे कृष्ण.
Milindamaji. Milindamaji.
हरे कृष्ण प्रभु जी. पाण्डुपुत्रानुपासीनान् प्रश्रया प्रेम संगतान् अभ्यचष्टानुरागश्रेर् अन्धीभूतेन चक्षुषा. हरे प्रभु जी.
Yes.
Pandu, the late father of Maharaja Yudhishthira and his brothers, Putran, the sons of Upashinan, sitting silently nearby, Prashraya, being overtaken, Prema, in feelings of love, Sangatan, having gathered, Abhyachashta, congratulated, and Anuraga, feelingly, Ashreya, by tears of ecstasy, Andhibhutena, overwhelmed Chakshusha with his eyes. Translation: the sons of Maharaja Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishmadeva congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. Purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ji ki Jai. When Maharaja Pandu died, his sons were all small children, and naturally they were brought up under the affection of elderly members of the royal family, especially by Bhishma Deva. Later on, when the Pandavas were grown up, they were cheated by cunning Duryodhana and company. And Bhishma Deva, although he knew that the Pandavas were innocent and were unnecessarily put into trouble, could not take the side of the Pandavas for political reasons. At the last stage of his life, when Bhishma Deva saw his most exalted grandsons, headed by Maharaja Yudhishthira, sitting very gently at his side, the great warrior grandfather could not check his loving tears, which were automatically flowing from his eyes. He remembered the great tribulations suffered by his most pious grandsons. Certainly, he was a more satisfied man because of Yudhishthira's being enthroned in place of Duryodhana, and thus he began to congratulate them. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Verse 12. Aho
Aho,
kashtam.
कष्टम
कष्टम्
Aho
अहो
anyayam.
अन्यायम्
अन्यायं
Yad
यत्
यत्
yuyam
भूयं
dharmanandana
धर्मनन्दना
धर्मनन्दनं
jividum
जीवितुं
जीवितुं
na
न
न
arhata
अर्हत्
अर्हता
klishtam
क्लिष्टं
pra
विप्र
विप्रा
dharma
धर्म
धर्माच्युत
achyuta
अच्युत
ashraya.
अक्षया
आश्रयः
Aho kashtam aho nyayam.
अहो
अहो
कष्टम्
कष्टम्
अहो
अहो
न्यायम्
न्यायम्
यद्योऽयं धर्मनन्दनाः
यद्योऽयं
यद्यूयं
धर्मनन्दनः
धर्मनन्दनः
जीवितुं नाहत्त क्लिष्टम्
जीवितुं
जीवितं
नाहत क्लिष्टं
नाहस्तम्
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयाः
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयः
अहो कष्टमहो न्यायम्
अहो
अहो
कष्टम्
कष्टम्
अहो
अहो
न्यायम्
यद्यूयं धर्मनन्दनाः
यद्यूयं
यद्योऽयं
धर्मनन्दनः
धर्मनन्दनः
जीवितं नाहदा क्लिष्टम्
जीवितुं
जीवितं
नाहत क्लिष्टम्
नाहस्तम्
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयाः
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयः
अहो कष्टमहो न्यायम्
अहो कष्टम् अहो न्यायम्
यद्यूयं धर्मनन्दनाः
यद्यूयं धर्मनन्दनः
जीवितं नाहत्त क्लिष्टम्
जीवितुं नाहत क्लिष्टं
कष्टम्
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयाः
विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयाः.
There seems to be some lag. Maybe my network is not functioning. Okay, right, Shailajamaji? Shailajamaji, are you hearing me? Haribol?
Yes. Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Aho Gashtamho Nyayam Idyuyam Dharmanandana Jividum Nahada Klishtam Vipradharma Chudashraya. Hare Krishna.
Right.
Hare Krishna.
Yes.
Aho kashtamho anyayam yadyuyam dharmanandanaha jividum narhada klishtam vipradharma chudashrayah. Hare Krishna.
Haribol. Vikalamaji.
हरे कृष्ण नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय अहो कष्टमहो न्यायं यत्यूयं धर्म नन्दनः जीवितं नार्हद क्लिष्टं विप्रधर्माच्युदाश्रयाः हरे कृष्ण
Hare Krishna. Milindamaji.
Hare Krishna. Aho kashtam aho nyayam yadyuyam dharmanandanaha jivitam narhata klishtam vipradharma chutat ashrayah. Hare Krishna.
Sigdamaji.
हरे कृष्ण. ओम नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय. अहो कष्टम अहो न्यायं यद्यूयं धर्मनंदनः जीवितुं नाहर्ता क्लिष्टं विप्रधर्माच्युताश्रयः. May I read the synonyms?
Yes.
Synonyms. Aho, custom, what terrible sufferings. Aho, anyayam, what terrible injustice. Yat, because. Yuyam, all of you good souls. Dharmanandanaha, sons of religion personified. Jivitum, to remain alive. Na, never. Arthataha, deserve. Klishtam, suffering. Vipra, brahmanas. Dharma, piety. Achyuta, God, Asrayah, being protected by. Translation. Bhismadeva said, Oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustices you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under those tribulations, yet you were protected by the Brahmanas, God, and religion. Purpose, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Maharaj Yudhishthira was disturbed due to the great measure in the battle of Kurukshetra.
Exactly.
Massacre in the battle of Kurukshetra. Bhishma Deva could understand this, and therefore he spoke first of the terrible sufferings of Maharaja Yudhishthira. He was put into difficulty by injustice only, and the battle of Kurukshetra was fought just to counteract this injustice. Therefore, he should not regret the great massacre. He wanted to point out particularly that they were always protected by the Brahmanas, the Lord, and religious principles. As long as they were protected by these three important items, there was no cause of disappointment. Thus, Bhismadeva encouraged Maharaj Yudhishthira to dissipate his despondency. As long as a person is fully in cooperation with the wishes of the Lord, guided by the bona fide Brahmanas and Vaishnavas, and strictly following religious principles, one has no cause for despondency. However, trying the circumstances of life, Bhismadeva, is one of the authorities in the line, wanted to impress this point upon the Pandavas. Hare Krishna.
Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakhaya Chachurunmilidam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah Shri Chaitanyamanoabhishtam Stavidam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupakada Mahyam
Dadanti
Yes
sapadantikam.
Tadadi Swapadandhigam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Udapatagamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shrirupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadudam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishagamitam Sam Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktivedanta Swamin Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimade Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Namine Shri Vashabhanavi Devi Daityaya Kribhabdaye Krishna Sambandha Vijnanadaine Prabhave Namam Madhuryo Prema Rubanuga Bhaktida Gaura Karuna Shakti Vigrahaya Namastude Namaste Gauravani Shri Murtaye Dinatarine Rubanuga Viridapa Siddhanta Dvantaharine Namo Gaura Kishoraya Sachar Vairagya Murtaye Vipralambara Sambode Padambujayete Namaha Nama Bhakti Vinodaya Sachidananda Namine Gaura Shakti Surubaya Rubanuga Varayade Gaura Virbhavu Mestam Nirdashta Sajjana Priya Vaishnava Sarvabhauma Shri Jagannathaya Te Namaha Shiruba Sanadana Bhatta Raghunatha Shijiva Gopala Bhatta Dasa Raghunatha H.I. Goshai Kori Charan Bandan Jaham Hoti Vignanash Abhishta Puran Vancha Kalpadru Vestigraba Sindhu Vyevacha Patidanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Mahadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishnaya Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gauratushe Nama Panchatattvatmakam Krishnam Bhakta Rupa Surupagam Bhaktavadaram Bhaktakyam Namami Bhakta Shaktigam He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagalpade Gopesha Gopiga Kanda Radha Kanda Namastude Jayadam Sarado Pangor Mama Mandamader Gade Mat Sarvaswapadam Bojo Radha Madana Mohano Divya Vrindaranyakalpadramada Srimad Ratnagara Simhasanasto Srimad Radha Srila Govinda Devo Preshthalavi Sevyamano Smarami Sriman Rasasarambi Vamshi Vadattadasthidaha Kashan Venuswaneir Gopi Govinada Shriyetunam Tattaganjana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Rishabhanasude Devi Pranamami Haripriye Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare Tan Sabedan Mahabhagan Upalabhya Vasuthamam Pujayamasa Dharmajno Deshagala Vibhagave Bhishmadeva, who was the best amongst the 8 Vasus, received and welcomed all great and powerful rishis who are assembled there, for he knew perfectly all religious principles according to time and place. Hare Krishna. So, along with Krishna, Pandavas, a host of great transcendental sages, powerful sages also came to see Bhishma Deva, who was about to leave his body. They want to pay their respects to him because he is such a great religious person, and he was one of the Mahajans also. So all these great sages, Narada Maharshi was outstanding the best because he's a purest devotee of Krishna. And not only that, he had made a lot of disciples, and all of them were converted to Krishna consciousness, and he had encouraged them and he helped them to come back to Krishna. So Narada Muni is always the greatest among all the sages, and he was also present because Narada Muni is also one of the Mahajans. Can see in this group only Narada and Sri Narada and Sri Bhishmadeva were the 12 Mahajans. You be knowing the 12 Mahajans, no, Snigdhamaji? Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Are you hearing?
Yes,
What's
Prabhuji.
this?
Brahma, Shiva, Narada, and Vismadeva, Kapila Muni.
No,
Then,
Kapila Muni is there.
yes,
Then Kumaras.
Kumaras and Yama.
Yama is there. Prahlada Maharaja is there.
Yes.
Bhishmadeva is there.
Yes.
Bali Maharaj is there.
Bali Maharaj is there.
So they were prominent, very great devotees called Mahajans who knew the principles of Krishna Tattva, who knew the Krishna Tattva most perfectly than anyone else. So Bhishmadeva was lying in a bed of arrows. He was awaiting Uttarayana, apparently awaiting Uttarayana to leave his body, but actually he wanted to see Krishna and he wanted to see Pandavas also. And he knew why Krishna is bringing Yudhishthira to Bhishmadeva. He knew why Krishna's arrangement is only Krishna's arrangement, so that Bhishmadeva can teach him, I can preach him on religious principles, instruct him on religious principles. And he was a great Acharya himself, and he could very properly welcome all these great Acharyas. Now we can see Srila Prabhupada is saying that Bhishmadeva actually was lying in the bed of arrows. He was physically incapable. Even then, with all these limitations, he very properly welcomed all these, received them and welcomed all these great rishis properly in a manner befitting these great rishis. So it is not always necessary that circumstances should be very favorable for you to execute your religious duties. Time and place will always change, and you have to adjust the religious principles, dharma, accordingly. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was the first person to adjust religious principles which is suitable for the period of the time in the 15th century, 16th century, Middle Ages, which is commonly known as the Dark Ages, because all the religious principles were completely lost. People had no idea what is religion. People have no idea what is spiritualism, and they were living a life of animals. And at the time, although there were Brahmanas present, Brahmanas had what happened? They were monopolizing these shastras, the scriptures, and they claimed that these scriptures were the property of Brahmanas alone, and nobody else had a right to it. Nobody has a right access to it, and nobody should read these Vedas and the scriptures, and nobody should even utter the names of Krishna. Only Brahmanas had the right to do this. All of this, the so-called lower people in the Varnashrama system, they were not allowed to read the Vedas, especially the Shudras. So that being the case, even great acharyas like Shankaracharya and Madhvacharya, they were inclined more towards Brahmanas, because they thought that only the Brahminic culture can really protect the Vedas. Quite true, that's true. Only Brahmanic culture can protect Vedas. But then who is having this Brahmanic culture? You know that Krishna said that Chadurvarnim Masishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha. So just that because one is born in a Brahmana family, it is not necessary that he should acquire the qualities of Brahmana. This we have seen in the previous chapter. With respect to, in relation, related to which person?
Varnasrama dharma.
No. We are just seen that just because a person is born in a Brahmana family doesn't mean he's a Brahmana or he has the qualities of
Karna.
Whom we are talking about? Not Karna, we are talking about Ashwathama.
Ashwathama,
So,
yeah.
in the 7th chapter, you've seen, no?
Yes,
That
yes.
Ashwathama, although was a Brahmana, he didn't
Mm.
have any Brahmanical qualities. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very magnanimously distributed the names of Krishna, Hare Krishna mantra, to everyone, irrespective of their position in the social hierarchy, in the Varnashram system, even to people outside the Varnashram system, like Mohammedans, Muslims. He very liberally gave this name to everyone. So he was adjusting the time, according to time only. And we have the great example of our own Srila Prabhupada. So he went to United States at the age of 70. And the situation in United States was entirely different from those prevailing in India. India, there was strict and categorized classific compartmentalization of Madhajis and Purushas, Prabhus. But in America, in Western countries, especially America, especially in the 1960s, when the hippie culture was taking place, all these people, all those Madhajis and you can say men and women, live together liberally without having any kind of license. Living together without without having a proper marriage and all that was a common thing at that time. So Srila Prabhupada, what he did was, he said that if you have to follow this Bhagavad Gita or the culture, or if you want to progress in Krishna consciousness, you have to follow some relative principles. Like he said, especially that no illicit sex is allowed. Illicit sex means sex before marriage or sex with someone else other than your partner after marriage. So when these young men and young ladies were living together before marriage, this is illicit. They said, okay, you have to get married. Then he married them all. Now, Srila Prabhupada is a sannyasi. As per sannyasi's rules, sannyasi rules, a sannyasi is not allowed to attend the marriage function, leave alone conduct the function. But Srila Prabhupada not only attended, he conducted the marriage ceremony and got them married off. So he was adjusting to time pace, because main thing is to spread Krishna consciousness. So all the things have to be adjusted so that Krishna consciousness is promoted. Just because these people were not following the culture did not bar them from Krishna consciousness. But at the same time, they have to come to this the system also, the refined system also. So Srila Prabhupada married them off. Like that, Srila Prabhupada allowed Matajis to do the puja also, arati also. In India, it is not allowed. India, you won't find a single temple where Matajis are doing the puja. Only Prabhus are doing. Any
Yes,
temple in
Prabhuji,
India?
in Odisha also, Matajis are strictly not allowed, Prabhuji.
Not anywhere in India, not allowed. In Kerala also not allowed.
Yeah.
Only men. That is Prabhus allowed only.
Yeah.
But then he allowed Mataji's to worship deities. And in ISKCON, of course, ISKCON also, especially in India, they are a bit reluctant to allow ladies to do this puja, because in one way, let's say when the Matajis are having this the cycle, then it's not possible. So that was the reason why, main reason why Matajis are not allowed. So even ISKCON also, some people who are very traditional, and they are reluctant to engage Matajis for the puja. But by and large, in ISKCON, it is allowed in India also. But Srila Prabhupada was the first person to allow Matajis to do the arati, worshiping the deities. So like that, Srila Prabhupada adjusted many things, and ultimately is very successful in spreading Krishna consciousness all over the world. That is the crux of the matter. That's a real thing. So here Brahmadeva, although he was very physically, he was unfit, he was not able to reason properly. And Srila Prabhupada, you can do either by a body or by a mind or your words. And Brahmadeva, Bhishmadeva was very sound in mind and was very, very articulate. He could speak with sweet words and coming from his heart, very sincerely. He can speak very nicely. So he gave them a proper welcome. And after welcoming these rishis, then he turned his attention to Krishna, the Supreme Personality. Krishna tat prabhavajna asinam jagadishwaram hridistam pujayamasa mayoyo vata vigraham. Lord Shri Krishna is situated in everyone's heart, yet he manifests his transcendental form by his internal potency. This very Lord was sitting before Bhishmadeva, and since Bhishmadeva knew of his glories, he worshipped him duly. So Krishna is present everywhere. He is present even in the smallest atom also as Paramatma. He is present inside everyone as Paramatma. And he is pervading the whole universe in the form of Brahman. But at the same time, he is coming down as a person, as Bhagavan himself, as Krishna himself. And that same Krishna was sitting near Bhishmadeva, and Bhishmadeva knew exactly who is Krishna, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he knew exactly the nature of Krishna's transcendental form also. So Krishna, yes, Mataji.
Yes, Prabhuji, two slokas in Srimad Bhagavad Gita says that Krishna is sitting in everyone's heart.
Yes.
That is Sarvasya Chaha Hrudi Sannivishta, and 18.61.
Yes.
Hruday Desa Tishtati. So,
Ishvara Sarvabhudana Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati.
yes.
Isn't it? Yes. So yes, that is because he is a Paramatma. So that's why he is residing in everyone's heart, including even the smallest atom. But he comes as person also, as Supreme Personality also. And when he comes down as a Supreme Personality, as Bhagavan, then he comes in his internal potency. Here, Maya Vashyam, so Maya what means actually means this Maya is actually his internal potency only. Krishna has nothing to do with his external energy. Bhagavad Gita makes it very clear. Bhumirapona vayu khammano buddhirevaha evacha ahangaramidiyame binna prakriti ashtala. Binna. The word uses binna. Binna means separated.
Yes.
So this energy, this external potency is separated from Krishna. Although it belongs to Krishna, although it is Krishna, it is Krishna's energy only, it is separated from Krishna. And that is again repeated in certain verse again as you go down in the verse 12. He said, Echaiva Satviga Bhava Rajasa Tamasa Evacha matta evedi tanvidi nattuham teshu te mayi. He says all these gunas, satuguna, rajoguna, and tamoguna, matta evedi tanvidi, it's coming from me only. It's mine only, it's mine only. But naham teshu, but I am not in them. Te mayi, they are in me. That means they take shelter, these energies take shelter of Krishna. Krishna is not taking shelter of this energy, external energy. But unfortunately, what happens is that when we are in gunas, we think that Krishna is also in guna. Next verse makes it very clear. Trivir gunamay bhave ebhi sarvamidam jagat mohidam navijanadi mam ebhya. Krishna says in 13th verse. Trivir gunamay bhave. When we are in the gunas, we don't know that Krishna is transcendental to gunas, and we think that he is also a product of guna. And when he is a product of guna like us, he is also having a material form just like us. That is one person who has just studied who is the beginning of a spiritual, or just active in spiritual matters, or is studying some spiritual matters, but who is not thorough with that, like Mayavadis. They make the mistake that they know about this Maya, they know about this external potency and all that. But when they say that, what they say is that in the material world, there cannot be a pure sattva, a pure transcendental form. There cannot be a pure transcendental form. So when he comes down in the form, they think that is material form only, and the real nature is actually impersonal, and that is all-pervading. And if you think that the form is the highest, then it is limiting the truth. Even these Muslims, they say that if you accept form, then it is a limitation. You are putting some limit to the whole universal truth. The universal truth is accepted as only form, means you are limiting the universal truth. But they don't understand that the Creator is always very free to come down to his creations. Srila Prabhupada gives an example of a factory engineer who has built a very huge factory. This engineer knows each and every corner, a nook and corner of this factory, and sometimes he comes down and visits this factory. Like that, Krishna, he has created all these universes and is free to come down and see the universes functioning. And when you say that he cannot come down, that is actually limiting. Krishna is coming down, and he is coming down in his form only. When you think that that is not possible, then actually that is limiting. Because Krishna is free to do anything. Krishna is so great that he can come down in his internal potency. So only very, very few people like Mahajans know the truth about Krishna, and Bhishma Deva was one of these great Mahajans who knew the truth of Krishna. I knew that this person sitting near me is none other than the transcendental personality of Godhead, Krishna himself. And with that bhava, he worshipped Krishna. And next he turned to the Pandavas. Next verse again. Panduputra Vasinan Prashaya Prema Sangadan Abhyasa Jashtanuragashray Andi Bodhena Chakshusha. The sons of Maharaja Pandu were sitting silently nearby, overtaken with affection for their dying grandfather. Seeing this, Bhishma Deva congratulated them with feeling. There were tears of ecstasy in his eyes, for he was overwhelmed by love and affection. So for Pandavas, Bhishma Deva was a very loved person. They had a soft corner for Bhishma Deva because They were always under protection of Bhishma. So they had great affection for Bhishma, especially Arjuna. When they were very young, Pandu died. Then Kunti Devi brought them, and actually Bhishma himself arranged Kunti Devi and Pandavas to come down to Hastinapuri and live in the royal palace. But the Kauravas, headed by Duryodhana, they did not like this. They thought that these people are unwanted elements, their encroachment on their privacy, encroachment on their property exclusively enjoyed by them. And they didn't want any other people to come and have an equal right or even trying to live with them. They didn't like it. So, especially Duryodhana, he was at every, even in the smallest opportunity, he used to tease them and torture these Pandavas. Except, of course, Bhima. Because Yudhishthira, he avoided any kind of confrontation with Bhishma, this Duryodhana. Because Duryodhana was well supported by his father also, who was equally unreligious. And Arjuna also did not look for any confrontation. But it was not, Bhima was not like that. If Duryodhana or the Kauravas tried to confront him, he will beat them up. He will smash them. So that's why Duryodhana wanted to get rid of Bhima, and we know how he poisoned Bhima and put them in the sea, and that story is in Mahabharata. The thing is, Duryodhana and other Kauravas always was ill-treating the Pandavas, and Bhishma Deva knew very well. And whenever they're playing, Bhishma Deva used to monitor this. He always used to watch Pandavas very closely. And he always used to watch Duryodhana also, whether he's trying to do any mischief. So, right from the beginning, from the very young age, Pandavas were well protected by Bhishma Deva. So, Pandava had very soft-hearted for Bhishma Deva. A lot of love for him and Bhishma, and love for Pandavas also. But when it came to war, in the Kurukshetra war, although Yudhishthira requested Bhishma Deva to fight on the behalf, Bhishma Deva said that I have to fight for Duryodhana only because I'm obliged by that. He said, I am indebted to Duryodhana because Duryodhana is providing all the facilities. That which means he's providing the money for the living of Bhishma Deva. And he said that dhanam, property, is nobody's servant, but everybody is a servant of property. So that being so, I am the servant of the property of or money of Duryodhana. So I'm obliged to fight for Duryodhana only. But that is only a superficial reason. Because the real reason was that Krishna's arrangement was that Bhishma Deva should fight on side of Kaurava. Because if Bhishma Deva is not on the part of Kaurava, Duryodhana will not dare to come to war. Because he was depending exclusively on Bhishma Deva to win this war for him. So if Bhishma Deva was on the other side, naturally Duryodhana will never come for war. So Krishna decided that there should be war to eliminate all these elements, adharmic elements like Duryodhana. So according to his plan, Bhishma Deva, he was cooperating with Krishna. He took the side of Duryodhana. But now he knew the outcome very well. And the outcome was that Duryodhana and Kauravas were totally destroyed. And Yudhishthira was rightfully placed on the throne. And he became the emperor. So Bhishma Deva was very, very happy. Now he knew that he can leave his body, because he had given a promise to Satyavati that he will stay on Hastinapura till Hastinapura was very safe. Now Yudhishthira is emperor. Bhishmadeva knew that now Hastinapura was very, very safe in the hands of Yudhishthira. But at the same time, he wanted to teach Yudhishthira some principles regarding dharma. Although Yudhishthira himself was a dharmajna because the son of Dharmaputra. But Bhishma Deva was much more advanced. So he wanted to impart this knowledge. He wanted to share this knowledge and teach this knowledge to Yudhishthira. And so now looking at Pandavas, his eyes filled with tears. He remembering all the tribulations suffered by his dear grandsons. So dear grandsons, there was so much tribulation. They had to undergo so many suffering and torture in the hands of Kauravas. So he was remembering everything. And remembering everything, he started speaking. So this is the first verse. He's saying, Aho kashtam, aho anyayam, yadyuyam dharma nandanaha, jividam narhata krishtam, vipradharma chudashrayaha. Bhishmadeva said, oh, what terrible sufferings and what terrible injustice you good souls suffer for being the sons of religion personified. You did not deserve to remain alive under these tribulations, but you are protected by the Brahmanas, God and religion. So he knew, Bhishmadeva knew what's in the mind of Yudhishthira. Yudhishthira was suffering. He was thinking that he is the cause of this massacre, and he had a huge guilt feeling. And Bhishmadeva immediately knew the cause for this. So he wanted to leave. Right from the outset, he wanted to leave Yudhishthira this unnecessary burden of guilt, which is not true in the sense that it is only assumed by Yudhishthira that he is a cause for this massacre, which is not true. So how to impress Yudhishthira about this? He started speaking like how much injustice you Pandavas had to undergo or to suffer. How unfair, so many unfair things. You are not given any fair trial and any fair dealings. You're always treated mischievously by Duryodhana. And you have to do terrible sufferings. Bhima was poisoned. Then they had to go to this Arakilan, this house of wax. And they had to wander for a few years. Because everybody news was that Pandavas had died, so they didn't want to immediately go back to Hastinapura. So a few years they were staying in forests. And in between, they got married to Draupadi. Then after coming back to Hastinapura, although for some time Pandavas enjoy some, opulence in the sense that because on their efforts, they were able to build up a huge Indraprastha, a palace called Indraprastha, and they were able to have a lot of land, countries also their rule. But that was short-lived because Duryodhana again planned something along with Shaguni, and the game of dice, Pandavas lost everything, again cheated by Duryodhana. And they watched their dear wife being derobed and humiliated by Kauravas, especially Dushasana. Just see how we can see when your wife is derobed and humiliated in front of everybody and watching helplessly. What a terrible feeling we'll have. So all these sufferings Pandavas underwent. This is injustice only, total injustice. And so this war, Bhishma is actually meaning this war is to counteract or set right this injustice which the Pandavas had suffered. So this was necessary, this war was necessary, so that the just person, Yudhishthira, who was every right to be emperor, and who and his brothers had suffered so much injustice, to counteract that, the only solution is that there should be war only, and this was planned by Krishna. So Bhishma Deva is very nicely, very subtly telling him that you don't have to carry this guilt with you. Because although they were suffering and things, still they were able to live out, overcome all this. A normal person, if they are suffering this kind of terrible trauma, they will not be able to survive that. They will die. But Pandavas, they were able to overcome all these traumas because they were very religious. So they were protected by the religion, dharma, brahmanas, and Krishna. So when you are religious, in the sense that when you are devotee, the truly religious person is a devotee of Krishna only. Because religion is set up by Krishna only. Dharma tu sachal bhagat pranitam. And the real religion is that Krishna is the Supreme Personality and we are his parts and parcels. And so it is a duty of every living being to serve Krishna, which is called Sanatana Dharma. Dharma means acting according to your nature, being true to your nature. And the nature of human beings is to render seva. But Sanatana means eternal. When you are in the material platform, the material world, you are doing so many rendering, so many sevas kind of service to everyone, which are basically temporary. But Sanatana means eternal. And that service is an eternal service rendered by the Jiva to Krishna. That is the Sanatana Dharma. So that is a real Dharma. And Yudhishthira and the Pandavas were real devotees, so they were Dharmajna. This is called Dharmajna. They knew Dharma, principles of Dharma. And one who knows the principles of Dharma, they will always be protected by Krishna. And their sufferings, although it may look to be very, very turbulent, is actually only superfluous. For others, we may think that Pandavas are suffering like anything. But of Pandavas, they don't mind at all. They don't suffer at all. Because all the time they are with Krishna only. So what is the cause of suffering? And we have seen the last chapter, what was Kundi's prayer? What was Kundi praying to Krishna?
She prayed for more
Give me,
suffering.
give me
Vipada?
troubles only. Give me troubles, but be with me.
Yes, she asked for more suffering so she could always remember Krishna.
Yes. Vivadam Sundara Sattam. Please give me all kinds of trouble, give me all kinds of sufferings, because when I am suffering, I can think about you. So when Pandavas are suffering all the time, they are always thinking of Krishna only. And when you are in constant remembrance of Krishna, that is a real thing. The jiva is supposed to have constant remembrance of Krishna. And we are constantly thinking of Krishna. Where is the suffering? Where is the suffering? Apparently, other people may think that we are suffering. The person who is in constant remembrance of Krishna, this kind of external sufferings, it's only superficial only. So Pandava, he knew that also. Bhishma also knew that. Bhishma also knew that actually they're suffering. They were untouched by suffering. But still, to set right the things, because of otherwise the world may go astray. You think that so many injustice can be done and there was nothing to change that, rectify that. The injustice will go like anything. So dharma samsthapanartha, when the injustice going up, arising, then naturally it has to be stopped. Otherwise, other people will suffer. This injustice, if this injustice is spreading like anything, all the persons will suffer. Pandavas may apparently suffer. They may not be suffering, but in due course of time, everyone will suffer. And to prevent that, this injustice has to be stopped. Injustice in the form of Duryodhana and Kauravas, they had to be removed. And the war was because of that. And so Yudhishthira need not feel that he is the cause of massacre. So that is what Bhishma Deva is trying to make Yudhishthira understand. Now he'll start speaking of what principle of religion in next coming verses. Thank you very much. Any doubts?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Right.